This week's bonus podcast is a replay of the REVB Mastermind that happens every single Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And this week we had our special guest with Sam RP from Boston talking about his Instagram home tours and how they have generated a ton of business for him and his team. Tune in and let me know what you think. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another REVB Marketing Mastermind. Happy Monday. Appreciate that you all are here. This week we're going to be talking with Sam RP out of Boston about home tours. What's going on, man?
Whoop, 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 whoop.
He's
What's
wicked
up?
smart, guys. He's wicked smart. He's up there. He just had his coffee. He's like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. He's unstoppable.
I feel like the 3 or 4 times we have talked, you've always started with that.
I
The
think
the
that
quintessential Boston
Okay.
accent, which I don't have. I don't think.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
man, this is already off to an awkward start. So I think that the last time when we did a pod with you, Sam, he actually wore his Duncan jacket.
I did.
Yes, you did.
So he's
I
lacking on that front today.
we met though in person at Further Together in Boston, and I did
Yes.
not wear my Duncan outfit to
Did you
Further
do the
Together.
accent
So
in person?
probably did. Yeah, most likely.
Sam, are you originally from Mass or no?
Technically, I was born here, and then I moved up, and I grew up in Maine, and so I didn't move back
Nice.
to Boston until college.
Okay. Yeah, just
Yeah.
curious because I generally don't get a strong accent from you, so I wasn't sure what
No,
you're.
I don't have any accent. Maine or the Maine, if you think Boston is rough, Maine accents, like some of the guys that I'm friends with from high school, you can't even understand them. Like it's like a drunk version of a Boston accent.
I
Like
I thought a
lobstermen.
Boston accent
It's
was already drunk, but okay.
yeah, it's pretty. It's
Yeah,
another level.
Yeah.
it's like
All right.
going from like English to Scottish. It
Yeah,
just gets
yeah,
worse. Yeah.
yeah.
And
Almost as bad
I'm
as the
glad
small
we're
talk on this
delivering
call.
so much value on the
Yeah.
call today.
There's like
This is really
someone,
good.
this is their first RevB call. Lisa said she has a friend
This
with her.
this is
and
it.
Lisa's friend is like, this is trash. All right. So we're talking home tours. For those that don't know you and know your kind of content journey, I know
Sure.
over the years you did a lot of video and it never
Hmm.
really hit. You never really got any business from it. And I think a lot of people on this call can probably relate to that of like, doing the thing and just doing what other people are doing for the sake of shooting video because you're told you need to be on video. So can we talk a little
Yeah.
bit kind of about that journey and to how you got to what you're doing now?
Yep. Yeah. Long story short, been in real estate for 15 years. And during COVID, I was burnt out. That was about year 10 for me. Everyone started doing real estate. This was like when Glenda Baker was taking off. Katie, you were taking off too, with everyone was doing video. And I was like, okay, I could probably do video. I can pivot. And I was just kind of doing it on my own for a year and a half, but I didn't really have any direction. I had no idea what I was doing. Then I hired Will Draper as my coach when he was still at Tom Ferry, and him and I, we basically threw spaghetti at the wall for a year. We tried everything. I didn't really. We made my buckets, right? We all do our content buckets, so we made my buckets, but I couldn't quite figure it out. So I couldn't quite take off. I was doing a lot of talking head videos at the time, and I was posting on Instagram and on TikTok. And then we were starting to work on YouTube. And it took a year and in that time, I got no leads. I did no business from social media or videos. And it took a year for me to have one video that actually took off. And that was my kind of talking about developments coming to Boston. And that was a bit of an aha moment. And that was kind of the first aha moment. There was I learned that, oh, people don't care about me at all. Like I'm out here talking about me. I think I'm being cool and funny, and that's not entertaining to anyone except for myself. And as soon as I made a video that really had nothing to do with me, I had my personality in it, but it really talked about kind of the landscape changing in Boston that was going to impact everybody. That got shared across the country. I had people in LA that were friends with my friends in my office who were sharing it with me. And it really took off. And so we tried a few more videos like that were talking about local developments, and they kept taking off. And Will and I started to talk through it. I said, I'm getting a lot of leads. I'm getting a lot of DMs, but I'm not getting the leads that I want. How can we kind of take this approach and sort of put a little bit of more direction into it to target the right audience. And he said, do property tours. And I was like, I like when I am sitting on a couch because I can be heavily edited. I work on my posture. I can suck in my gut, and I can I'm in my special place where I look as good as I can get. I don't want to walk around in front of the camera. He's like, just there's some people out there that they'll film it and then they'll kind of do a voiceover after the fact. Why don't you try that? And I was like, all right. And I tried it and it took off immediately. I tried to do my approach that I was doing with the development tours to the property tours, where really wanted to hook people in, keep their attention. The quickest thing that I learned from the very beginning was you have just what you're looking at and then your voiceover and then some music underneath. But those are really the two characters, is what you're looking at and the voiceover. And that voiceover really matters. So I was like, I really need to be punchy, impactful. I need to make some waves with what I'm saying to try to keep people's attention for just a minute to a minute and a half. And so we would work on the script. I always scripted it. I never was off the cuff. And I just started doing one of those a week. And that was a little over 2 years ago now. And that's all I've been doing, literally every week. Sometimes I miss a week, but literally every week it's just doing one property tour a week. And last year from Instagram, I pulled in about 150,000 in GCI. This year I'm at 335,000 in GCI. So
nice little jump.
Nice little bump.
Let's go to $500,000 next year.
I love it. Why not double again, right? No.
Yeah.
So what I like about what you're doing is it's something that people can replicate, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've seen a lot of people over the past, probably 2-3 years start to do property tours. And what I love is like they're all a little bit different. So let's talk a little bit about like, okay, you have a house that you need to go shoot, or a condo or whatever you need to go shoot. What does that look like? Like, walk me through, okay, like you have the property, you get there.
Yep.
What are you shooting with? How do you walk through the property? Do you walk through more than once? Like, how do you do all of it like in tedious detail?
Yeah, my whole thing is efficiency and speed. And, I tell people I need 15 minutes at most. Even less. If you can already have all the lights on and all the doors open, I'm good. I need one quick walkthrough myself before I film it to just kind of get my bearings. I want to map it out in my head. So I'm not like working on the fly. I want to have kind of a map of depending on how big the space is. We're dealing with condos a lot of time in the city, so they're pretty quick. But any of the bigger houses, I really need to kind of map out what the flow should be. And even though I haven't scripted anything yet, I don't know what my voiceover is yet. I want to at least have an idea of the flow of what I want to be talking about. I only use my iPhone. That's the only thing that is filming these videos. So
no gimbal.
No gimbal. It's
just
the gimbal.
Just a ninja walk.
Is this. Yeah, just literally this. Like, I mean, if you look, my videos are kind of a little like up, down, up, down, up, down. Like there's a little bit of a wobble to it. That's my feet moving. You don't need anything. You just need your phone. There have been times where I've showed up and the seller was there. The broker would be like, "Hey, my buddy Sam's going to come and do a video. It's going to be great. It's going to be great for marketing. You're going to get a lot of reach." And they get super excited. And then I show up and I pull out my iPhone, and then I just kind of be like, "All right, everybody step back." And I just slowly walk in. And I've seen it a couple times where the seller will look at the broker that they hired and they're like, "The fuck, you couldn't do this yourself? Like,
Yeah.
What is going on here?" But it's not that complicated. I will say, if you're going to try this, put your iPhone in the zoom out, like the 0.5 zoom, because by default, the videos just zoom in a little too much, in my opinion. And so it's hard to get a grasp of the space in video. But it's 0.5 zoom vertical. It's all one shot. There's no cutting. I want everyone to feel as if they are there walking the space with me. Obviously, it's very much like a sprint, but I want them to feel like they are getting the full experience of running through this house. There's no cuts. It's not produced. It is almost the polar opposite of that heavily produced listing video that people get. And I think that's actually one of the reasons why people are attracted to it, because it feels like they're touring the property with me.
Yeah, Sam, the things that I love about your videos are you usually have a good visual hook and the part of your script, the audio hook there as well. And I think you're pretty, I don't know, it seems like you think a lot about that first shot to hook people in. And then like you said, when the reason why Sam's videos do better than these highly produced listing videos that the listing agent does is because it's one shot, is because they're walking, the viewer feels like there's somebody showing them the house as opposed to somebody selling them the house. So talk to me about how you set up that first shot, like how you think visually about how you're doing these videos.
I have a couple of rules when it comes to the videos that I'm putting out. And my approach is episodic. I think Jason Pantana had told me, hey, you're doing episodic content. And I was like, oh, I like that. I'm going to take that. And basically what that means is I'm doing the same video over and over and over and over again. And the hook, I guess it would be sort of part of the brand if you want to say that, is I always start from the exterior, from outside looking at the property, whether it's a condo building or a single family house, and I'm walking into it. I did that on the first one. I did it again on the second one. So by the third one, I was like, all right, this is just, I'm going to recreate this every single time. So when people are kind of scrolling, they can recognize my signature of the walk into the property every single time.
Well, the other thing, Sam, I think there's a lot of power in what's next. Like when you can keep that viewer in wanting to know what's next, and in the way that you walk up to that door, people want to know what's behind the door, right?
Yep.
And it's like that what's next idea. You just keep stacking it up as you go.
Yep. And then I don't do any captions with the exception of a brief title card and then a quick caption on what it is. So the title card is in bold. It's the first thing that you see as I'm walking up to the property. It is just like, toward this Boston penthouse with me, or toward this $6 million luxury condo in Boston, right? It's very basic. It is just a quick identifier so people know exactly what they're getting if they're not listening to it, right? Because a lot of us are just kind of doom scrolling on mute. Everything is silent. And so it starts with that. And then it will typically give the address. It'll give the bedroom count, bathroom count. And then if I say to my voiceover, I'll add the square footage as well. And then it will end with asking and then the price. And then from there, my voiceover, it's just the voiceover. There is no more captions. So either you have switched on the audio to understand what I'm talking about, or you're just watching in silent. But I think that a lot of people I believe are probably switching the volume on because they want to hear a little bit more about what's happening.
I love that because I think most.
Well, we've lost Tim.
Oh no.
Nobody was upset about that. I think most people that are doing this are
wasn't.
having captions on their video to just in case people don't have audio on. And I love that you don't, because it just goes to show like there's not any really hard to find rules in this game, right? Like there's a lot of ways to do things and still be, successful with it.
Can I tell you why I don't do the captions? Because I used to do the captions.
Yeah.
I don't want to give people an excuse to not listen to the video if I can help it, because part of the purpose of these videos and part of the goal to get people in is I need them to hear and understand a little bit about my personality, which I try my best to have come out in my videos. I try to be entertaining, but friendly and approachable, and have a little bit of charismatic in my voice with what I'm saying, drop in a little bit of like side comments in there that I think will help just add a little bit of flavor to the video. And I want people to hear that, because I think that if you have been following, and I get a lot of DMs that will be like, hey, we've been following you for a year. We're thinking about moving to Boston, or we're thinking about buying our first home. My goal is I'm hoping that by the time I get that call or that text or that DM, that I've built up that rapport with these people. And I'm only going to do that if they're watching my videos not on mute. If I'm on mute, they don't really connect the dots necessarily of, because I'm not on the screen. So if it's just a voiceover with text, it can be anybody.
Yeah. Okay. So a couple questions in the chat. as far as voiceover, a couple things on that. So you're doing the voiceover afterward. Are
Mhm.
you using a mic like this? Are you
Yes.
just recording it on your phone? How are you doing it?
I'm using a mic like you have.
Okay.
So I have a nicer mic. I will to go through the process. So video, come home, I will sit at my laptop. I will airdrop the video to I do everything on my laptop when it comes to the editing. I don't like editing on my phone. I'm a little bit nitpicky with where I want things to cut, and I just can't get precise enough with my thumbs. So I have it all on my laptop. So airdrop the video to my laptop. I will then throw the video into Final Cut Pro, which is similar to CapCut, which everyone else uses. I just happen to use Final Cut Pro because I've been using that since before CapCut was even a thing. So I just haven't switched. Don't
Same,
you can
same.
you can yeah, you can use CapCut if you want. It's fine. Um, I will do some rough edits with the video before I start my voiceover, which is just the first thing I do is everything gets sped up to 2x. There's nothing that's ever slower than 2x because I like the idea of speed going through the property to keep people's attention. And then I'll find moments that quickly just need to be trimmed down. So like if I'm going into a building and I need to go up the elevator, up the stairs, I will like 4x or 8x the speed just to kind of get me through. I'll find a couple sections that need to just be trimmed down quickly. And then I get roughly the pace of the video. And then I'll literally open a Word doc and I'll just play the video on loop. I will also have the listing open and I'll be reading the listing description to get some ideas. And then I'll just start walking through and writing it out. As I'm watching it on a loop, I'll be speaking it back. And, I might have a sentence where I'm talking about it, but I'm already on to the next thing. And I go, okay, I need to shorten that sentence. That didn't quite hit. I'm missing some things. So it helps me just get the pacing right. And then also if I feel like I have a dead spot, rather than have awkward silence, I will try to think of, okay, well, what am I not seeing that I can add in here? Let me add some more color to this video in this section because there's a dead space here. We're not really looking
You're
at
walking down
much.
the hallway and you
Right,
something else to add
exactly.
in or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, that's the oh, and by the way, this unit also comes with garage parking, which is perfect because
Yeah.
it's 30 degrees out every morning and we want to go right downstairs rather than outside. So that's when I add that in. So script is done. I will then get my microphone like you have. I'll plug it in. This is going to get too much, but I then go to a program called Logic. It's just like GarageBand. It's just a little bit nicer. I literally won't even have the video up. I have the script in front of me, and I just am going through it line by line. If I feel like I can't get through it in one take, it's okay. I'll do a sentence, and then I'll take a breath, take another sentence, take another breath. Sometimes I'll read it twice. I have presets on Logic, which is why I use Logic to basically just hit a button and then it makes the voice a little bit punchier. I will then export the audio to my desktop and I will drag it into the Final Cut Pro or CapCut for you guys into that file. And then the first thing I do is I edit out all the dead space from the very moment that a word ends to the very beginning of the next word. And I just drag it all together. So it feels like I am just like rapping at you. Like I'm
Boom,
just
boom, boom,
sprinting.
boom. Yeah.
Exactly. And so then I do that. Then I'll find a song that I feel like is the right vibe for it. I feel like music is important. It does fill up some of that dead space and just helps embellish the video. So I'll throw a song in just from some license-free website that has like good hip hop beats or something. And I'll lower it enough where it's not overbearing, but it does fill up that space. And then I'll literally start to write in the caption card, two bed, two bath, address, and then that's it. And I'm done. Export it. Then I airdrop it back to my phone and I post.
All
Sam,
right.
one
That
one
was a
thing that
lot.
you said,
Go ahead, Jeff.
one thing that you said that I think is interesting is that you record the audio while not watching the video. And so I'm assuming there's some amount of like timing the video to the audio instead of trying to say your voiceover to the video.
Well, that's why when I'm writing the script, I have the video playing on a loop
Yeah.
and I'll be reading the script as the video is playing next to me. And if I feel like the pacing is off, then I have to edit the script. I either have to add more or take away some. So then it doesn't even matter what the video looks like. I already
But
know it matches it.
the reason why I like it, and I think we may have a comment or two in the chat about it, it's like, that seems weird, but I love it because when you're doing the voiceover, you're focused on the voiceover, right? You're focused on what you're saying. And when you're doing the voiceover to the video, you're just kind of distracted because you're trying to time it to the video.
You speed up or slow down and it's like kind of awkward.
Yeah. Yeah. I just need to hit the line, and I need to hit the line with the right emphasis and excitement to keep people like at that point. I don't care what the visual is. I need to make sure that the audio sounds good and it's engaging, because we've all done videos. We've seen a ton of videos where the person is a little just sleepy, and I want to be the opposite of that. For some people, sleepiness works, but for me, I need to be punchy, and I can only be punchy if I'm focusing on like really delivering the line.
And again, I want to bring this up because we have like Summer Hudson, I'm pretty sure, is literally walking through the house doing the voiceover while she's walking through the house. And then, I think Roland has a similar style to you, but it is a little less energy. It is a little, and then I think
Roland is poetic.
Yeah.
That's the way I would put it, which you can't be yelling. You can't be yelling at people with that approach, because his approach is also very visual and engaging. He's got no music usually, and his other character besides the visual is his voice and the script, but it's more of a poetic approach, and it's a little bit more storytelling, where mine is a little bit more hype up.
Yeah, you have this polished, almost newscaster energy when you're speaking in it, and it does keep that audience, I think, engaged. And the reason I bring it up is because you got to find the way that's right for you. And that's what I want to encourage people, like, watch Sam's stuff, watch all these other people's stuff, and know that there's no easy done playbook. This is exactly how you do it. There's like, this is how Sam does it, how it's working for him. This is how Roland does it, it's how it's working for him. And you got to find what's going to work for you. And so I do like that nuance, though, of recording the voiceover without the video, because somebody on this call is going to try it and they're going to say, oh my, that's so much easier for me that way because I don't get distracted by the video. So I love that little tidbit,
That's how scripting was for me, because I tried to go off the cuff when I first started this, probably from watching Katie. You do a bunch of videos, and I don't know if you're off the cuff, but I felt like a lot of people were just, they just were winging it. And I tried that, and I was tripping, and then I just was stumbling through my words. I was like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. The scripting for me was a game changer, because I was like, oh, I can't do that. I cannot go off the cuff. As soon as I hit record, I'm like really struggling to get through what I'm trying to say. And I just I couldn't deliver the message that I wanted to deliver. It was much better if I just had a second to kind of digest. And then I'll throw it into ChatGPT and be like, I'm not a wordsmith. So I'd be like, vary up my language. Like, I'm saying the same words over and over again. Just give me some slight adjustments to the words I'm using, so I'm not saying the same 3 or 4 words over and over again every sentence. That helps me a lot too.
Are you doing any of your tours? I know I could Google this, but are you doing any of your tours on TikTok, or it's just Instagram?
No, it's just Instagram.
Well, and so
I kind of want to go back to TikTok. I haven't been on TikTok I use TikTok. I have not posted to TikTok in like a year and a half. Part of it was I don't quite understand how people just communicate with other people on TikTok. It feels like it's much harder to navigate, and maybe that's just me, but Instagram is like, the DMs are so easy to work with.
Your TikTok, old is showing, but I wouldn't disagree with you, brother.
Felt
like I understood Instagram.
So
it sounds like you watched my talk at Further Together, because that's what I talked about. It's an interest-based algorithm that still maintains its social attributes that makes messaging and communication easier.
Oh, he's on smart, Tim. The reason why I say that, though, is because Bill made a comment in the chat and says, he's like, I need to speed ramp my TikTok tours and test them on Instagram. And Marty laugh crying face reacted to that. But it's funny because like the slow walk and the ramble that, Bill and Roland and Matt and, Krista now and Summer Hudson, like all of these people are doing, like, is great, right? But like if you were to slow walk on Instagram and have like a 5-part tour, I don't know that that would necessarily work like it does on TikTok, right?
Yeah.
And so, Bill, right? Like I think that you would need to speed ramp it and have a super punchy fast thing. So like, I would be interested to see if you did, Sam, start putting these on TikTok, if the algorithm would find similar people and bring you as much business as it has on Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've taught one of my newer team members, I've taught him this kind of process of filming properties. He's actually, well, I'm doing one property tour a week. For the last month, he's doing one a day, which great for him. I just can't pull that off. But he's posting on Instagram and TikTok, and he's had some success on TikTok. I will also say, just before I forget, so the couple of rules that I had was same kind of flow every single time. It starts the same spot. It's always outside going in. Another rule that I have is I won't, unless it's my own listing, because a lot of these are not my listings. If it's not my listing, I am not going to film a property that is less than ideally $900,000 unless it's really cool. But my sweet spot for properties is like kind of the 1 to 3 million range, because that's my target demographic of buyers that I'm trying to get, or sellers. I find that over 3 million seems to be a little bit more just sharing for fun. The $1 to $3 million range seems to do a little bit of that, but it also targets actual clients pretty well. So I think this past year, actually probably since the beginning, outside of the first like couple of months of doing this, my average price point for deals that I've done from Instagram is, I got to look at this, but it's probably around 1.2. And I'm trying to hit the same audience over and over again. So I'm staying within Greater Boston. I'm trying to keep within relatively the same price point, unless it's my own listing, and then I just have to give them the service that I provide for all my sellers. But I think that helps, because I will get people who will text me, call me, DM me, email me, and they'll say, hey, we've been following you for a year. We've been following you for 6 months. And you seem to really, you seem to really highlight the types of properties that we're interested in. We would like to work with you.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, I
Terrence
love that.
put in the chat, knowing your target and avatar is key in picking which listings you want to go after. Wish that more people understood this. And it's true, right? Because a lot of people are just like, oh, I'm going to do every single listing in insert, town outside of Boston here. And like, I know from when we talked probably over a year ago, you were like very specific on the types of listings that you targeted. And reached out to all of basically listing agents in your brokerage with those listings to be like, hey, can I come do this? What's like the average price point for your area
that I'm selling? The median price point in Boston is somewhere around $800,000.
Okay.
And I'm trying to stay above that. If I show a property that is in the 500,000 to 600,000 range, I will get inundated with DMs. But it's not the clientele that I'm trying to build up, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, one piece too, it's like the listing tours, because I do want to get into lead conversion, what these conversations look like. Josh has commented about CTA, so I want to get into that stuff. One good though frame before we do is we've had a lot of people have a lot of success with the local news stuff, and then building a large audience that isn't very niche, but they can build a larger audience faster because it's so wide. But then conversion takes longer because you kind of are there for everybody. Now you got to start weeding out people interested in real estate. Then if you want to try to weed out certain price points and everything else, like that can be a lot tougher game on the conversion side. And so the Sam method there of listing tours and sticking in, like, it's great to niche down. I'll say most people will probably have a little hard time growing the audience as fast because it's more of a niche and you got to have the algorithm find the niche and then slowly build this following. But a couple of things I want to highlight just so people don't miss it. The fact that you start your videos the same way every time, I think is important when you're trying to build a niche audience, because when people are scrolling through and they say, oh, my favorite show's on in the
Right.
first second or two of the thing, right? And I think some of us, we're always trying to be creative with our opening, and sometimes there's not a consistency there that can build a following like yours has. And then that second part is how niche you went on the specific types of videos. I'm sure you speak a certain way in your videos to try to resonate with a certain clientele. And all that stuff is a longer game, in my opinion, but also in some ways a better game when you get to converting and getting more of the business that you want.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to approach my page to essentially be the video version of Zillow Boston, right? People go to Zillow to just look at properties, and I want my Instagram page to be kind of the default page that people go to when they're thinking about looking at real estate in the Boston area. I want people, if they're thinking about moving to Boston, or if they're talking to a friend about thinking about moving to Boston, or they're thinking about buying their first home, I want my Instagram account to come up in conversation. I want to try to influence that as much as I can. I want people to associate Boston real estate and my page together as much as I can. So that's why I'm like showing Boston properties over and over and over again at a certain price point. And it's not about me. It's about the real estate. I do think that taking myself out of it makes it more shareable. And so my shares on a lot of my videos are very high, in the hundreds and sometimes in the thousands per pretty much every video. And a lot of it, I think, comes down to a spouse sharing the video with their spouse, or a friend sharing with a friend, coworker, because it's the same way that we treat Zillow, right? We will see a property on Zillow and we go, oh, check this one out, right? Like, I can tell when a video blows up. The funniest thing is sometimes when a video blows up, I start to see some of the DMs that someone who's older thinks that they're sharing it with their sibling or their spouse or their kid. And they're like, hey, I think you're going to really like this one, but it gets sent to me by accident. And so I know that people are like discovering these videos and sharing with other people. That I want it to be shareable.
I do like the observation of you not being in the video. I do think helps for shareability. And that question's come up in the chat too. Like, never in your own video? Never, because
Never.
Tyler Hassman style, like, we do have people have success with putting themselves in the video, but not being in the video, I think, is a lot more shareable.
Yeah. I also, again, back to the episodic, I didn't do in the first video. I didn't do in the second video. And by the third video, I was like, I'm just not going to do it. It's easier, less pressure on me. I don't have to dress up. If you slow down and you see some of the shots walking in front of a mirror, you'd be like, what is Sam wearing today? Like, there's no pressure on me to have to be prepared. I can literally just, roll out of my house in sweats, go walk through a property, shoot it, and then leave.
Do you ever look at the retention graph and see if it like picks up if you're in the miror, because people pause to see what you actually look like? Yeah.
That's actually where it peaks usually.
Yeah.
No, I also truly believe, and I could be wrong, so no hard feelings if you feel the opposite way. I truly believe that we are not as interesting or as important as we think we are. I think that we're often too full of ourselves in this industry. We think it's all about us because we're all about branding and pitching and selling ourselves. And I just don't think we are as shareable as we think we are. I don't think we're that exciting. I truly think that the content that we are delivering is more exciting. And I think that we don't have to be in it if we don't want to be.
I think you're exciting, Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
My next videos are going to be just me then.
Oh God, never mind. I take it back.
I'm going back to dancing. I'm going to be pointing around.
Oh, God. Okay. So I know a lot of people have asked questions in the chat, and then some people have responded on like what they do. And I'll preface this question with Sam's answer may vary in your state. So like look up your state rules for what attribution you need to give to a listing agent or listing brokerage. when we talked before, you were mainly just shooting Compass listings because you're with Compass. And so, like,
Yeah,
you were saying that like 95% of the listings were like your friends at Compass. And so those are all owned by the same brokerage. And so for in most states, you don't have to credit the brokerage because it is your own brokerage. What are you doing if it's like a Coldwell Banker listing or someone else's?
same. It's the exact same thing. I will have um, either it's a friend of mine at another brokerage that we go way back, and I'll be like, hey, you have this coming up next week. Do you mind if I actually shoot it? Or sometimes they'll hit me up, be like, hey, we have this listing. It's a little stale. Do you mind giving it a little love? And the only shout out I give them is at the very bottom of the description in the write up under the video is I just tag them. Thanks for the tour at, whoever. And that's it. It's for me, it's a very easy lift. I'm never asking somebody that I don't know to film the property, because I know enough people where I can avoid that awkward conversation. Again, I've been doing this for over a decade, so I've built up enough relationships.
And Sam, I think some people when they're getting started, it's like, hey, I'm gonna shoot the listing video. I'm gonna shoot the video. Da da da. I'll make sure I give you credit.
Yeah,
because they're trying to get their foot in the door. You're on the opposite side of this fence. And so I think maybe some people may not get that. Like, you're doing the listing agent a favor by going and shooting this video. It's not the listing agent doing you a favor, letting you shoot their listing. And so there's definitely a different dynamic. If you're just starting out with this stuff, you may have to stroke some listing agent ego. You may have to say, Sam, I'm going to credit you and all that stuff.
I will say that my team member, David, who's young, he's 24, I think. He was like, I'm going to do what you're doing. This was his first gig. He had no background in real estate. And he was like, how do I like go? Can I just show up to an open house? I was like, no, you got to ask permission. And he just had no shame. And he just started going through. I said, why don't you go through all the listings and go backwards from days on market, right? Start to go through all the ones that have been sitting there for a while. And he just started email blasting everybody one at a time. And he literally, now he is putting out a property tour a day. Some weeks it's maybe 6 in a week. But he has done so many times. I'm like, how did you get into that property? Like, how did you get into that listing? She's like, I don't know. I asked if I could film it. And so he is now he's built up relationships where they're now asking him if he wants to come back and do the next property that they have. But he started off with no relationships. He didn't lean into any of my relationships. He actually didn't even want to film any of the properties. He felt like he couldn't film any of the properties that I was filming for some reason. So he was looking for his own properties, and he literally would just email people. And he said most of the time he does not hear back, but sometimes people are okay with it. And he just started to build up rapport. And now his page is starting to get more attention. He's up to, I think, about 5,000 followers, and he's starting to get a name for himself in the city, here in Boston for real estate, and it's working.
All right. So, as who was it that put in the chat? Whitney put in the chat, Tennessee requires that you have to have the listing broker written on the post. Some states, I know in Washington, you have to get permission from the listing broker, like not Sam as an agent, but like his managing broker in order to shoot. So just make sure you know your state rules, because especially with a lot of people doing social media content and doing videos and things like that, and them not always being like quality and respectful, real estate commissions and stuff are cracking down hard. So just make sure you know what your state rules are,
Right.
and then go from there. And so, obviously if you have been in your market for a while, you can get permission pretty easily if it's not your brokerage or it's not someone you already know. But like, just make sure you review your rules in your state before moving forward with this.
I love the stuff in the chat. I've just seen a lot of different MLSs and boards and all that stuff. And there's just some out there that suck. And they are like monitoring social media and looking for any reason to find. So just understand if you're in one of those areas and you need to have your I's dotted and your T's crossed. But Sam, I love, because we always hear this whenever this comes up. It's like, hey, listing agents won't let me do a video. Like, I can't get in. And there's always that objection. And so what your agent is doing is a brilliant way to start, starting at the highest day. You starting at the highest days on market
Yeah,
and then just
that's
work it
super
down.
smart.
Right?
Right. Find the stalest of stale listings, because at that point they're like, unless they're an asshole, they'll be like, I'll take whatever I can get at this point. Like if you
Please
want to
help
give
me.
me free exposure, I'll take it. It's been sitting on the market for a year. Come have at it. Yeah, we don't have clear cooperation here in Massachusetts. And so like we'll do off-market property. Those are the best ones when I can film a property before it's, sometimes, I'll get a text from Mike in my office and Mike will be like, hey, we got a listing that's coming to market in February. As soon as it's staged, do you want to get in and post it? But absolutely. Yeah. No one else knows about it. Yeah, that's great. All the leads are coming right to me. Great. I have no problems with that. So that's definitely helpful that I take for granted for sure.
So let's talk a little bit about business and how you get it. I stole this from your story a few months back for a
Yeah.
talk. And so I know you do a lot in your story of like different things, right? In your story for people to vote on. What I love about this poll that you did, yes, can you send me off market homes? I haven't started looking yet, but let's chat. I'm thinking about selling. Can you help? Every single person that voted on this poll is someone that is potentially a buyer or a seller. Like Bill on his always does like a throwaway. So he'll have on his like neither, but I like to judge listings on Zillow or nothing. I'm waiting for 3% rates again. And like those are funny and he can start conversation, but every single one of your answers is a legit like, okay, yeah, I want to buy or sell. So I
Yeah.
love that. Let's talk a little bit about like what you're doing as far as putting stuff on your stories. Do you have a jot form or a Calendly, or like how do people come into your world and work with you?
Yeah, so my approach is my videos are for reach and growth and to kind of attract the people, and then my stories are where the conversations are going to start to happen and how I can turn these new followers into actual clients of mine. And so I will, if I'm on top of my game, I'll do once a week. So I do one video a week and one intentional story post a week, whether it's a poll like that, which I call a hand raiser, or just a blanket statement like I literally just hold on. I just posted one earlier today. I said, raise your hand if you're looking for a single family in Arlington for around $1.5 million. I got something cooking. Dot, dot, dot. That one, there is no poll or anything. That one's just going to get DMs. I did one like that on Sunday for a listing that I have coming up in the new year. And I had, I think, 23 people that DM'd me asking for more information on it. So with the polls, I will never do a throwaway, nothing against it. I just want every option to be a yes. I want every single thing that you can choose to be a yes. And then I'll just go through and I will have a different follow-up DM to each category. So it might be if it's like I'm looking for a buyer, you know, it'll be a yes, I'm a buyer. It'll be a maybe I might be a buyer, and be I don't think I'm a buyer, but I'm a seller, and then I might be a buyer, right? Like I just am kind of spreading them into different categories, and then I just have a follow-up to each person. And when you have a poll, you can literally go through the list, you can look at who voted, and you can DM straight from the vote. And so you can just respond right to them voting, send them a DM and say, hey, I saw that you voted that you have a goal to buy your first home in 2026. I love to learn a little bit more about this to see how my team and I could help you. Can you tell me a little bit more about what you're looking for? And then hopefully they'll respond back. And then usually either the response back to them or the third response back to them is, I will love to chat. I'd love to chat a little bit more about this in depth. Do you have any time to hop on a call either later today or tomorrow? I'm trying to get them out of the DMs and onto a phone call as quickly as I can, usually within 2 or 3 back and forths.
Nice. And then I know in your bio you have like DM Boston to start your move. Do you have a lot of people that
Oh yeah.
do that or no?
Yeah, you asked me about Jot form. I don't use a Jot form. I don't use a Calendly. I do use ManyChat just for the DM Boston to start your move. And that is just if people go to my page and they want to start a conversation with me. So you DM me Boston, and I think it says something like, um, the summary of it is, are you looking to buy, sell, or something else? And then depending on what they click on, then there's like a couple of back and forths to kind of pre-qualify them. And then at that point, I will have hopefully noticed that I'm having a conversation that I didn't know about in my DMs, and then I'll start to chime in. With all the polls, at the moment, I don't believe there's a way for ManyChat to automatically send based off of a poll push, which is unfortunate. That is like, it kills me. But I will literally, what I usually do is I will wait for a day because they will stay up for 24 hours.
Yep.
So I'll be like, okay, it's 1:48 right now. I'll post the story. And then tomorrow at around 12:30 or 1 o'clock, I'll lay down on the couch. I will then go through every single one, copy paste with just the DM message back and forth. It even gets more tedious because before I send the message, I will look to see if you click on the send message button, you can see if you've already communicated with the person. So I first want to see if this is a return person that we've already been in touch with, because I don't know who I've been in communication with over the last few years. So that might alter what I say, be like, hey, we were chatting actually a few months ago. Like, are you thinking that now is actually the time? Right? I might change what I'm going to say. So there's a few steps, but you can kind of fire through it in 30 or 45 minutes, just sitting in a chair, laying on a couch, just kind of going through them all, and then you're done. And then from there, hopefully I'll start some conversations, and then my assistant, who is also in on my DMs, she will then go in and start to do some follow-up over the next couple of weeks with people that don't respond.
So one thing that I love is that timing the initial post, right? Because if a story's up for 24 hours and you know that like in 23 hours you're going to go DM, doing your initial post at like 8 p.m. probably isn't a good idea. But like planning it of like, oh, hey, tomorrow at noon, I'm free and can actually DM everyone and sit down and do all of this. Like, that's super smart. And I don't think that we think about that. We're like, oh, we should be lead generating. Let's put a story up, and you do it at a random time. So I love that idea. And then we've talked about this before on this call, but when you go back to your archive in Instagram, you can go back to that original story. So if he has an assistant that's also in his DMs, that assistant could go back a week from now, right? Go to that old story post and click the polls, and then click the messages from the people on those polls and message, Meredith, and then message Matt, and then message Mark based on the fact that they had engaged with that post a week ago. So you don't have to like go through every DM and try to figure out like, oh, who did we like, message, or who voted on that specific poll. Like, you can go back to that story and look at it in your archive. So just a follow-up tip.
If you think about it, it's moments for conversation, right? If Sam posts, hey, this thing's coming to market, and he gets, I don't know, say how many conversations are you getting from one of these posts?
From just like a blanket, like not a poll, I usually would get like you mean in my DMs?
Yeah.
20-ish, 20 to 30.
So he's got 20, 30 conversations for this thing that's coming to market. Okay. Then the thing comes to market and goes under contract. Now he's got another reason to message those 20, 30 people, and then it sells, right? It's another reason to message those 20, 30 people. And it's just another reason to stay in conversation with people. And so, Katie, I love that idea of being able to go back, because we think about the one time we got interaction out of them, right? We think about the one time they sent us a message, but there's probably more times along the way that we can be engaging with them in ways that they actually care about.
Yeah. And I will even, if I'm working on my laptop, I will throw, depending on like where the conversation is or what's going on with the lead, I'll throw them into the CRM, and then I can basically, I hyperlink the person's link to their page. Because then in a month, if I have a follow-up with this random lead reminder, I can go to that person's page. And if I have no context of who they are, I literally would just click on the link. I will go hit message, and then I'll see our back and forth, what we had. And then I'll just pick it back up, be like, okay, I remember this person now, or I remember what we were at least talking about. And then I kind of like pick it back up to try to pretend I know who they are and what we were talking about.
Shannon Mangan is the one that probably 2 years ago, she said that if she doesn't get their name and like the username is something weird or whatever, she'll actually put that person like their username in is the name in the CRM with a link as well, so that like she then can say like, okay, give me a task in 2 weeks to follow up with them, and then in 30 days to follow up with them. Because she's like, if I have to rely on just Instagram, like it's never going to happen. And then I know a few weeks ago on the mastermind, Bella from Jacksonville was saying how she will label the conversation. So like you can label them as like a lead, or there's different categories that you can use. And it's not like A lead, B lead, like you can't give them titles, right? But like you can use them of like different categories in Instagram. So there's a couple different ways that you can, make sure that you follow up, because that's where the money is. Marvin just put in the chat for YouTube home tours. I love this. For YouTube home tours, you can add a QR code that sends people to your Google Calendar to schedule a private tour, or use a QR code for whatever you want. Like, hey, this is how you can do the thing, and have a QR code. Because a ton of people on YouTube are watching on TV. Like almost every creator that I know that does YouTube, either home tours or talking head style videos, like their TV watchers are increasing, right? So if before it was 30%, maybe now it's 40%, but everyone's watching on TV, and like chances are they're scrolling on their phone as they're watching their TV. They can just pick that up and go to your website or to your Calendly or to whatever you want them to go to, whatever CTA you want.
I will also say too, for like the story ideas, the blank screen with just some text on it to just kind of entice people, right? Like I did it about something that I have coming to market next week, but I've also done it successfully to kind of generate some leads on stale listings that I can't even get a call for showing on, because I can still mention the listing vaguely, right? Like I have if you're looking for a stunning 3-bedroom that has off-street parking, this, and it's under $1 million in Boston, I have something for you. Now that I didn't give the address, so that person has and there's no pictures, it's just text. So the people who are seeing that have no idea that I'm talking about the listing that I've had on the market for 3 months that I cannot sell. They're going to DM me and ask me for more information. There's a high likelihood that that's not for them, because they would have already seen it if it was for them. But now I'm talking to them, and it's just a way to potentially drum up more business on a listing that I already have that's not giving me any business.
Yeah, by not saying like, I have a listing coming soon. Hey, here's this opportunity.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, not saying, this thing's been sitting on the market 45 days.
Right.
Is anybody interested?
Right.
Please,
exactly.
someone buy it, please.
Yeah. Open house this weekend. Like, right. No, there's just there's a better way to say it.
Yeah. And that honestly is such a good framing. Like, you have an open house this weekend. Nobody cares. You have a house.
They know. They
right?
know. You can find all that information already. So try to just reframe it in a way that creates an opportunity. Yeah, it's compelling, but also creates an opportunity for them to have or want to message you, right? Like if you leave just the slightest bit of information, or if you keep it a little vague, if you're like, hey, if I tell people where it is, or if I tell people the price, am I going to lose everyone? And if you say yes, then leave that part off. At least it starts the conversation. Because if you're like, I'm not going to get people to buy this one, but maybe I can get people who might want to buy something else, and I can help them with that.
Yeah. How do you evoke curiosity? That's like, how do you make people curious? And too many times as agents, we just want to tell people what we think they need to know. We just want to tell them, instead of, making them curious, having something that's compelling, like, ooh, what is he talking about? And then hitting them with a DM. Instead, we're like, we have an open house Saturday at 2 p.m. There will be cookies,
Yeah.
You would be there, Tim.
The cookies might get people.
Tim's like, chocolate chip, I'll be there.
I am going to schedule an open house this weekend just so I can eat my own cookies. I have a problem, guys. You know what I mean?
Tim,
I'm being vulnerable.
I'm just going to mute you. So how long do you wait until you ask them for their phone number?
As soon as they respond to me, I will ask them a question to try to get some sort of response. And if they give me a little bit of information, my go-to thing is to say back, like, I would love to learn a little bit more about this or dive a little bit deeper into this and get more details from you. Do you have any time to hop on a call, today or in the next day or two?
Yeah.
I make it seem like I don't really, it's kind of obvious. It's just like, let's not go back and forth in the DMs. Let's just have this is going to be a lot easier if we can just have a quick 10-minute call, because then I don't have to go back and forth, asking you a bunch of questions, and you don't have to write back and forth.
Yeah. I mean, and I think that's like Rick Lee's thing too. Like, I'm like, well, what do you say when the DM comes in? He's like when they're DMing him a keyword or they're whatever, he's like, I simply respond and I'm like, great, let's hop on a call and discuss your search. Like,
yeah,
that. So I think that there's some good on keeping them on platform, at least for a little bit, but trying to get them on the phone is great. I dropped in the chat the BAMmies, and that is BAM is hosting award ceremony for videos on Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Alyssa's going to be talking about hyper-local content strategy for her on-site reporting style content and like plan for 2026. And then they're going to be talking about like content moments and trends and winners of, content from this year. So I dropped that link in there. If you guys aren't already registered, should be a good time. Sam, advice for someone starting out?
Just go for it. I think that, speaking from experience, we can get a little bit bogged down in analysis paralysis and concern that what we're putting out is not the right thing, especially if you're doing this type of content. It's very simple. It does not need to be polished. I think the less polished, the better sometimes. I think it needs to just be authentic and seem real and legit. But I think you just need to kind of take the plunge. But quite literally, like if you don't know people, at least try walk around your own house so you can get a feel for it. But it's really not that hard. You just need to walk slowly. And because you're going to be speeding everything up, if you're going to do it like me, you can walk really slowly. Like if you need to walk slow to get the smoother kind of feel to it, that's fine. Speed it up 4x for the entire video. Like you don't need to run through it. You can walk very slowly, just hold it out. But try on your own home for a couple of times and then just start hitting up people if you can, if you're allowed to in your state. I would comb through the list of properties that have been sitting on there the longest.
Yeah.
And also think about like what your target demographic is.
That's so smart. All right, y'all. I dropped Sam's Instagram in the chat again. The replay will be in school. If you guys aren't in school, hop in there. All of the replays are in there. Sam, you're the greatest. Thank you for hanging with us today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. And feel free to, if anyone has more questions, you can send me a DM and hopefully I'll see it and I'll respond. If not, my assistant will respond, pretending.
Or ManyChat.
Yeah, or ManyChat. That's right.
Maybe you get a response, maybe you don't. That you won't know until you DM him.
My favorite go-to is if I'm on vacation and I'm just like, I've had a couple of videos take off as I'm leaving for vacation. I'm just like, shit, like I can't deal with this right now. So my favorite response when I get back from vacation is, hey, I'm so sorry. I completely lost this in my DMs. I love to chat about this, but I don't want to lose this in the DMs again. Can we hop on a quick call?
Yeah.
For me, he just says, oh, I'm so sorry. I lost this in my DMs. And then there's no other response after
that. And then that's
it. All right.
All
right, brother. All right, brother.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.